Victory is not a hope. It is a law. My law. I am Kratos, general of the Spartan army, conqueror of nations, the most feared warrior in all of Greece. War is a science, and I am its master. I stand on the field of battle, and I see only patterns. The foolish charge of a panicked flank, the weakness in a line of shields, the fear in a captain's eyes. For 20 years, I have led Sparta's finest into battle. 20 years without a single defeat. Other men command soldiers. I command a living weapon. My Spartans move as I do. A single organism of bronze and muscle and rage, guided by my will. They call me a brilliant leader, a peerless warrior. They are right. I was forged in the agoge, shaped by combat, perfected by victory. While other men speak of honor and glory, I deliver it. While they dream of conquest, I achieve it. The gods themselves have blessed my campaigns. But in the quiet moments, after the screams have faded and the scent of iron hangs in the air, another image comes to my mind, not of conquest, not of glory. Lysandra, my wife. Her eyes hold a strength no shield possesses, a wisdom that quiets the rage inside me. She is the only person who sees the man beneath the warrior. When I return from battle, covered in the blood of my enemies, she looks at me not with fear, but with pride. And Calliope, my daughter, 6 years old, with eyes that hold no knowledge of the darkness I bring to the world. Her small hand in mine holds more power than any blade. Her laughter is the only sound that can silence the drums of war in my head. Do not mistake this for softness. It is the source of my strength, the reason for my unending victory. It is for them that Sparta marches. For them, I will paint this world in the blood of our enemies. For them, I will never be defeated. But today, none of that will save me. Today, I march against an enemy unlike any other. Reports have reached us of a barbarian horde from the east. Thousands upon thousands of savage warriors, led by a king they call the Barbarian King. They have swept across the eastern lands like a plague, leaving nothing but ash and bone in their wake. My scouts tell me their numbers are impossible, that no army could stand against such a force. I tell my scouts they lack vision. I am Kratos. I do not retreat. I do not surrender. I do not lose. The barbarians will learn what every enemy of Sparta has learned before them, that some men are forces of nature, and nature does not negotiate. As I don my armor and take up my weapons, I think of Lysandra's kiss goodbye, of Calliope's small hand waving from the window. I will return to them victorious. I always do, I always have. Until today, they pour over the ridge like a tide of filth, not an army. A plague, a living mass of steel and fury that stretches beyond sight. Thousands upon thousands of barbarian warriors, their war cries echoing across the plains like thunder. I have never seen anything like this, but I am Kratos. I adapt, I overcome, I position my men on the high ground. Classic Spartan formation, phalanx in the center, cavalry on the flanks. The same strategy that has brought me victory for 20 years. My Spartans are a spear, a single perfect point of bronze and muscle. We will punch through their center and break them on our shields. We always do. The barbarians charge like rabid beasts, no formation, no strategy, just raw savagery. They crash against our shields like waves against stone. The impact is thunder. The first wave of barbarians dies on our spear points, as they should. The second wave follows, and the third. But they do not break. They absorb our charge like the sea swallows a stone. There are too many, far too many. For every one that falls, 3 more scramble over the bodies of their dead, their eyes empty of all but fury. My formations, my perfect geometry of war, are dissolving. Drowning in a sea of bodies, I hear their screams, not of defiance, of death. My men, the finest warriors in all of Greece, being pulled down, overwhelmed by sheer brutal numbers. This is not a battle. It is a slaughter. My perfect weapon is breaking. Hold the line. I roar, cutting through a barbarian's throat. Spartans, hold! But they cannot. Not against this. Not against impossible odds. My voice is gone, lost in the roar of the horde. My commands mean nothing here. I am no longer a general. I am just a man, my arms burning, my shield splintered, fighting for every inch of ground. My strategies have failed. My discipline has failed. My legacy is turning to mud and blood at my feet. I fight with everything I have. My blade finds barbarian flesh again and again. But for every enemy I kill, 10 more surge forward. My armor is dented. My shield is cracked. Blood, my own blood, streams down my face. A blow from behind. My legs buckle. Another, and my sword is torn from my grasp. I am on my knees, in the filth, surrounded by the bodies of my men. The barbarian king emerges from the chaos. A giant of a man, covered in scars and tribal markings. His shadow falls upon me like a gravestone. The great Kratos. He bellows, raising his massive axe. The undefeated general. You bleed like any other man. After 20 years of victory, after a lifetime of absolute certainty, this is how it ends. Defeated, forgotten. My name, a curse on the lips of dying Spartans. My family will never know how I failed them. The axe begins its descent toward my skull. I look at the sky, at the realm of the gods who have blessed my victories, and I do the one thing I swore I would never do. The one thing a true Spartan must never do. I beg. The axe hangs in the air above me. Death suspended by a heartbeat. 20 years of victory. A lifetime of absolute certainty. And it ends here, in the mud, surrounded by the corpses of my men. No, I will not die of failure. I will not leave Lysandra a widow. I will not leave Calliope fatherless, wondering why her father never came home. There is always another way. There must be. The gods who have blessed my campaigns, who have guided my blade to victory after victory. They would not abandon me, no, not when I have served them so faithfully. I lift my eyes to the heavens, to the realm of Olympus, and I do what no Spartan should ever do. I surrender my pride. Ares! My voice tears from my throat like a blade, raw, desperate, the cry of a man with nothing left to lose. God of war, I call upon you. The barbarian king hesitates, his axe trembling in his massive hands. Something in my voice, something primal, something that speaks to the very air around us. I have served you faithfully. I have spilled oceans of blood in your name. Do not abandon me now. Thunder rolls across the clear sky. The wind dies. Even the screams of the dying fade to silence. But the gods do not answer. The barbarian king grins, showing teeth like broken stones. Your gods have forsaken you, Spartan. The axe begins to fall. Ares! I scream again, my voice breaking with rage and desperation. Destroy my enemies, and my life is yours. The words leave my lips before I can stop them. A bargain. A pact. The price I was never willing to pay. Until now. The axe stops. The barbarian king's eyes widen. He is no longer looking at me. He is looking past me. Behind me. Above me. I feel it before I see it. Heat, like standing too close to a forge. The air itself begins to burn. Then I hear the voice, deep as an earthquake, cruel as winter. Kratos. I turn, still on my knees, and I see him. Ares, the god of war. He is enormous. A giant wreathed in flame and shadow, his armor forged from the screams of the dying. His eyes are twin suns, burning with the fury of 1,000 battlefields. In his hands, twin chains of black metal, each link forged in the fires of Hades itself. You call upon me in your moment of weakness, mortal. You offer me your life. Yes, I whisper. My voice is ash in my throat. Destroy my enemies. Grant me victory, and I will serve you. The gods' laughter is the sound of cities burning. Serve me? You will be me, my will made flesh, my rage given form. He raises the chains. At their ends, 2 blades unlike any weapon I have ever seen. Curved, serrated, they pulse with malevolent light, as if they contain the very essence of war itself. The blades of chaos, forged in the deepest pits of Tartarus. They will be your strength, your curse, your eternal bond to me. I should run. I should refuse. Every instinct screams at me to reject this bargain. But I think of Lysandra, of Calliope, of the promise I made to return to them. I accept. Ares hurls the blades. They pierce my flesh just above the wrists. Not cutting, fusing. The chains sear themselves into my skin with the heat of molten metal. The pain is beyond description, like having my very soul branded. I scream, but even as the agony tears through me, I feel it. Power, raw, primal, unstoppable power flooding through my veins like liquid fire. The blades are part of me now. Extensions of my will. My rage made manifest. I rise to my feet, and I am no longer the same man who fell to his knees moments before. The barbarian king still stands frozen, staring at the god behind me. I grip the hilts of the blades of chaos, and they sing in my hands. They hunger for blood. My lord, I say to Ares, my voice changed, deeper, touched by something inhuman. What would you have me do? The god's smile is terrible. Kill them all. The barbarian horde, thousands upon thousands of savage warriors, turns to face me. All of them. At once. I smile. Let them come. I am no longer just Kratos, the defeated general. I am Kratos, servant of Ares, and I will paint this battlefield red. The chains rattle as I raise the blades. The barbarians charge. They have no idea what they have awakened. The Hydra's blood steams as it pools around my feet. 9 heads, each the size of a war galley, now severed and still. The beast that terrorized the Aegean for a century lies dead in its underwater lair. Another monster slain, another god satisfied. I pull the blades of chaos from the creature's central heart. The chains retract with practiced ease, coiling against my scarred forearms like serpents returning to their nest. 10 years of this. 10 years, and the blades move as naturally as my own limbs. Poseidon's voice echoes through the cavern, thick with divine satisfaction. Well done, Ghost of Sparta. The seas are mine once more. Ghost of Sparta. Even the gods use that name now. I wade through the Hydra's blood without feeling its heat. Nothing touches me anymore. Not cold, not pain, not the weight of what I have become. I am a blade in the hands of the gods, and blades do not feel. But I tell myself I still serve a purpose, a noble purpose. I send the spoils of my campaigns back to Sparta, gold to shower upon Lysandra, trophies to show Calliope the strength of her father. Each conquest brings them wealth, security, proof that their husband and father fights for them still. This is what I tell myself as I slaughter innocents in their beds, as I burn cities that have done no wrong save defying the will of Ares, as I transform into something that should not exist in the same world as my wife and daughter. 10 years since I knelt in that barbarian battlefield. 10 years since I traded my soul for victory. 10 years of service to the god of war. And I remember every single day, every single kill. The fishing boats flee at the sight of me. Word spreads quickly among mortals. The ghost of Sparta walks among them. Death in pale flesh. They are wise to run. I am no longer the man who kissed Lysandra goodbye. No longer the father who promised Calliope he would return. That man had honor, purpose, love. Now I have only the blades. And the voice of my master, always whispering in my mind, always demanding more blood. The rage Ares gave me is a fire that consumes everything it touches. Cities, armies, innocent lives. And with each passing day, I feel it burning hotter, spreading deeper. I have begun to fear it will one day consume them as well. Ares speaks to me now, his words like heated metal in my skull. Return to Sparta, my servant. Rest. Tomorrow we march on Troy. Troy, another city, another slaughter, another chest of gold to send home to my family. Another step closer to becoming something they should never see. I obey. I always obey. What choice do I have? The journey to Sparta passes in silence. I no longer think during travel. Thinking leads to remembering, and remembering leads to the dreams. The endless dreams where I see their faces. But now the dreams have changed. Now I dream of my own hands, stained with blood, reaching for them. Now I dream of the rage in my eyes as I look upon the two people I love most in this world. Now I dream of what I might do to them. Sparta appears on the horizon, its bronze walls gleaming in the dying light. My city, the place I once called home. The place I can no longer allow myself to enter. The guards at the gate recognize me instantly. They do not cheer. They do not celebrate the return of their greatest general. They step aside in silence, their eyes fixed on the ground. They know what I have become. The question is, do I? I make camp outside the city walls, alone, as I always am now, as I must always be now, for their sake. The stars appear overhead, the same stars I once shared with my family. I tell myself I fight for them still. I tell myself the gold I send, the trophies I win, prove my love remains pure. But lies taste like ash in my mouth. I close my eyes and try to sleep, try to find some peace in the darkness. But sleep brings the dreams, and in the dreams, I see them. Lysandra, reaching for me with bloodied hands. Calliope, calling my name as shadows swallow her whole. And standing over them both, bathed in their blood, is me, the perfect servant, the perfect killer, the perfect weapon, but no longer perfect at being human, and perhaps no longer safe to be around humans at all. Tomorrow, Ares will send me to kill again, and I will go, and I will succeed, because that is all I am now. That is all I have left. The village of Kura clings to the mountainside, like a scar on pristine stone. Small, peaceful, defenseless, perfect for what Ares has commanded. His voice burns in my mind as I approach the settlement. This village has turned from me, Kratos. They worship my sister now, Athena. They believe her wisdom superior to my strength. I grip the blades of chaos tighter. The chains rattle against my forearms, eager for blood. Show them their error. Leave none alive. The order is simple, clear, like all the others I have carried out these past 10 years. Another village, another slaughter, another demonstration of Ares' power. But something feels different about this place. Something that makes my scarred flesh crawl. The villagers do not flee as I approach. They should. Word of the Ghost of Sparta spreads faster than plague. Yet they remain in their homes, tending their fields, living their small lives. As if they do not know death walks among them. I enter the village square. A fountain bubbles at its center, carved with images of olive branches and owls. Athena's symbols. I can smell bread baking in a stone oven. I hear the distant, rhythmic tap of a blacksmith's hammer. Peaceful sounds. Sounds from a life I once knew. Sounds I am here to silence forever. An old woman emerges from one of the houses. Ancient, bent with age. Her eyes are milky white, blind, yet she turns toward me with perfect precision. The village oracle. Ghost of Sparta, she says, her voice carrying despite its frailty. I have been waiting for you. I do not respond. I draw the blades. Their curved edges gleam in the afternoon sun. You come to destroy us, she continues, unafraid. To burn our temple. To spill our blood upon Athena's altar. Yes. The word falls from my lips like a stone. Simple, final. She nods as if she expected nothing else. Then you will do what you must. But know this, servant of Ares. There is a truth waiting for you in that temple. A truth that will change everything. I step closer. The blades should hunger in my hands. The rage should build in my chest. But it does not. The familiar fire sputters, choked by the cold weight of her question. Speak plainly, old woman. Some knowledge is too terrible to voice. Some truths must be discovered. Her sightless eyes seem to pierce through me. But I will tell you this much. If you enter that temple, if you do what your master commands, you will learn why the gods truly fear you. The gods do not fear me. I am their weapon. Are you? She tilts her head. Then why does Ares require you to destroy this place? Why does he demand you enter the temple yourself, when he could level it with a thought? The question strikes me like a physical blow. I have never considered it before. Never questioned why my master sends me to do what he could accomplish with divine fire. Because, I say, more to myself than to her, he wants me to do it. Yes, he wants you to enter. He wants you to see what waits inside. He wants you to become what you were always meant to be. The rage should build in my chest, but it does not. The familiar fire sputters, choked by the cold weight of her question. She sees the hesitation. She knows she has struck a nerve. Enough riddles, I say, but the words lack their usual force. I raise the blades to silence her, to silence the doubt she has planted in my soul. Do what you will with me, Ghost of Sparta, but remember my words when you stand before that altar. Remember that some prices are too high to pay, even for a man who has already sold his soul. The blades slice through her throat in one clean motion. She falls without a sound, her blood pooling around the olive branches carved in stone. The first death. But something is wrong. The kill brings no relief, no clarity, only more questions. I move through the village, but with each step, her words echo in my mind. Why does Ares want me to do this myself? The doubt is a cold weight in my gut. For the first time in years, the blades feel heavy, unnatural. Then I feel it. A fire in the back of my skull. Ares' gift. A blind, blood-fueled rage floods my senses, washing away the doubt, the questions, the cold. The red mist descends. The world narrows to nothing, but screams in the arc of my blades. House by house, family by family, the blades of chaos sing their familiar song, painting the peaceful streets red. But I am no longer truly present. I am a passenger in my own body, watching through eyes filled with divine fury. The last villager falls. A young man who tried to shield his wife with his body. Neither gesture nor love could turn my blades. The red mist begins to clear. The rage recedes like a tide, leaving me standing in a field of corpses. Now only the temple remains. It stands at the village's heart. White marble, graceful columns, beautiful in its simplicity. Inside, I can see the flicker of torches, the movement of shadows. There are still people inside, worshippers, hiding, hoping. I approach the temple steps. Each footfall echoes like thunder in the sudden silence. The blades of chaos pulse with heat, ready for the final slaughter. At the threshold, I pause. The oracle's words claw at my mind, fighting through the fading haze of divine rage. A terrible truth awaits you. I have seen terrible truths before. I have lived them. What could possibly be worse than what I have already become? I step into the temple. The answer to that question waits for me in the darkness beyond. The temple's interior is bathed in golden light. Torches line the walls, their flames dancing across marble pillars carved with scenes of Athena's wisdom. At the far end, her statue stands serene and beautiful, owl perched upon her shoulder, eyes seeming to watch my approach, and cowering before her altar, the last of the villagers. A handful of worshippers who believed these sacred walls could protect them from the Ghost of Sparta. They were wrong. I can see them clearly in the torchlight. An elderly priest clutching Athena's holy symbol. A young mother holding something precious against her chest. A small figure pressed close beside her. The red mist should descend now. Ares' gift should flood my mind, washing away thought and conscience alike. I wait for it. I need it, but it does not come. Instead, I hear the priest's voice, trembling with desperate faith. Great Athena, protect us. Shield us from this monster. Monster. The word echoes in the marble hall. Is that what I am? Is that what I have become? I step closer, the blades of chaos suddenly feeling like lead in my hands. Each footfall rings like a funeral bell. The mother shifts, and I catch a glimpse of her profile. Dark hair cascades over her shoulder in a way that makes my chest tighten. Many women have hair like that. Dark, beautiful, nothing more. She turns her head slightly, comforting the child beside her, and I see the curve of her cheek, the elegant line of her neck. My blood begins to turn cold. No, it cannot be. Please, the mother whispers. Not to me, but to the figure beside her. Her voice is soft, familiar, a voice that once whispered my name in the darkness. Do not be afraid. Papa will come for us. He always comes home. Papa. The word hits me like a spear through the chest. I know that voice. I know it better than my own heartbeat. I know the way it shapes that word, the love and faith it carries. Lysandra, I breathe. She turns fully now, and I see her face. My wife, my beloved Lysandra. Her eyes wide with terror, not recognition. She sees only the pale monster with chains burned into his flesh. She does not see the man who once kissed her goodbye. And beside her, pressed against her mother's side, is Calliope, my daughter. Older now, but still small, still innocent, still perfect. Still wearing the little sandals I bought her before my last campaign. They are here, in this temple. In this place Ares commanded me to destroy. How? The word tears from my throat like a scream. How are you here? Lysandra clutches Calliope tighter. Stay back, monster. You will not harm us. She does not know me. She looks at the Ghost of Sparta and sees only death. The ashes of my victims have changed me so completely that my own wife cannot recognize the man she married. The truth crashes over me like a collapsing mountain. This is no coincidence. No cruel twist of fate. This is Ares' design. He brought them here, lured them to this temple, placed them before me like pieces on a game board. The final test, the last chain in my bondage. Kill them, and I will be truly his. No attachments, no love, no humanity left to hold me back. The perfect weapon. No, I whisper, letting the blades fall from nerveless fingers. I will not do this. I will not. But even as I speak the words, I feel it building in the back of my skull. The fire, the rage. Ares' gift, no longer held in check. You will, my master's voice echoes through the temple. You must. This is what you were made for, Kratos. Embrace it. The red mist begins to descend like a curtain of blood. I fight against it with everything I have. My hands shake as they reach toward the fallen blades. My feet try to step backward, but they move forward instead. Run, I manage to gasp, fighting against the divine fury flooding my mind. Run, but they cannot hear me. The words die in my throat as the mist thickens. My body betrays me. My hands close around the hilts, despite my screaming will. The chains burn against my flesh, hungry for blood. Inside my skull, I am screaming, begging, pleading with my own limbs to stop. But the red mist swallows everything. The priest steps forward, trying to shield them. I will not let you harm the innocent. The blades move without conscious thought. They sing through the air, finding flesh, parting bone. The priest falls, his blood spattering the altar. Lysandra screams. The sound should stop me, should break through the rage. Instead, it feeds it. I turn toward them, and in the crimson haze, I see only targets, only obstacles to be removed. The red mist has stolen everything human from me, leaving only the weapon Ares forged. They try to run. They cannot escape. The blades are extensions of my will, and my will belongs to the god of war. I strike, again and again. When the rage finally clears, when the red mist lifts like fog in morning light, I find myself standing in a pool of blood. At my feet lie two bodies. I stare at them, my mind refusing to process what I see. Two figures, a woman and a child, nothing more. But then I notice details that make my soul crack. A bracelet on the woman's wrist, silver with a small charm, a tiny owl. I gave it to her on our wedding day. The child's sandals, small, leather, still clean because I bought them just before I left for campaign. Before I made my bargain with Ares, the woman's hair, dark and beautiful, spread across marble like spilled wine. The child's small hand, reaching toward her mother even in death. I know those hands. I have kissed those fingers. I have held them in mine and promised protection and love. Lysandra, Calliope, my wife, my daughter, dead by my own hand. The blades of chaos slip from my grasp, clattering on the blood-slicked marble. I fall to my knees beside them, my hands shaking as I reach out to touch what I have destroyed. No, I whisper. No, 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 but denial cannot undo what has been done, cannot breathe life back into the two people who made me human. I gather Calliope's small body against my chest, her blood staining my pale flesh. She is so light, so fragile, so still. Forgive me, I sob into her hair. Forgive me, my little star. Ares's laughter fills the temple, cruel and satisfied. It is done, my servant. You are free now, free of all attachments, free to serve me completely. Free. I look at my hands, stained with the blood of my family, at the bodies of the only people I ever loved, at the wreckage of my soul. This is freedom. This is what I traded my life for. The oracle's final curse begins even as I kneel there. The ashes of my family rise from their bodies like smoke, swirling around me, settling into my skin, bonding with my flesh, marking me forever. I feel my skin lighten, becoming pale as bone, white as death, the color of the ghost I have truly become. I am no longer Kratos the Spartan. I am the Ghost of Sparta, and I will carry this moment with me for eternity. The ashes rise like a prayer in reverse. I watch them lift from the bodies of my family, gray and fine as dust, swirling in the temple's still air. Beautiful, almost, like snow falling upward. But this is no natural wind that carries them. This is something older, something final. The village oracle's curse, speaking from beyond death. The ashes dance around me in spirals, drawn by forces I cannot see or understand. They touch my skin with the weight of feathers, settling on my flesh like a second skin. At first, I feel nothing, just the gentle touch of what remains of Lysandra and Calliope, coming to rest on the hands that destroyed them. Then the burning begins. Not fire, something deeper. The ashes do not simply coat my skin, they burrow into it. I feel them wriggling through my pores like living things, seeking the marrow of my bones. My skin drinks them hungrily, as if it recognizes what they truly are. Part of me, part of them, part of what we were together. The change spreads outward from every point of contact. My olive skin pales to ash gray, then lighter still, white as bleached bone, white as marble, white as death itself. I can feel it happening beneath the surface. Not just my skin changing color, but something fundamental being rewritten. My very essence being transformed at a level deeper than blood or bone. My reflection catches in the polished surface of Athena's shield, mounted beside her altar. The face that stares back is not mine. I try to speak my own name. I am. The word dies in my throat. I cannot say it, cannot claim it. That name belongs to a man who no longer exists. Gone is the bronze complexion of a Spartan warrior. Gone is any trace of the man who once basked in Mediterranean sun. What remains is a specter, a revenant, a walking corpse painted in the ashes of innocence. I search my memory for my father's face, the man who raised me, who taught me to hold a spear. Nothing, an empty void where a lifetime of memory should be. The Ghost of Sparta. The name fits now. More than a title, it is what I have become, what I am, what I will always be. Perfect. Ares's voice whispers through the temple, thick with satisfaction. You see now what you truly are, what you have always been destined to become. I do not respond. I cannot. Words are for the living, and I am no longer certain what I am. The mortal attachments that made you weak are gone, he continues. Your wife, your daughter, the foolish sentiments that held back your true potential. Now you can serve me without distraction, without the burden of love. Love? The word tastes like poison in my mouth. I love them, more than my own life, more than victory or glory or the favor of gods. And that love made me into their destroyer. I kneel between their bodies, one hand on each beloved face. I try to remember Calliope's laugh, the sound that once filled our home with joy. It was high, musical, like what? Panic claws at my chest. The memory is fading even as I reach for it, slipping away like water through my fingers. No, I whisper desperately. I remember. She would giggle when I tickled her feet. She would. But the details are gone. Already, their voices seem fainter in my memory. Already, the transformation has begun stealing them from me. I will remember you, I say, my voice breaking. Whatever I become, whatever horrors I commit in Ares's name, I will remember the sound of your laughter, the warmth of your touch, the love that made me human. Even as I speak the words, I know they are lies. I am forgetting them already. Their faces are becoming shadows. Their voices, echoes that grow quieter with each passing moment. It is a promise I know I cannot keep, but I make it anyway, because it is all I have left to give them. The temple falls silent around us. Even Ares has withdrawn, satisfied with his work. Outside, I can hear the wind picking up, whistling through the empty village. Soon, others will come. They will find the bodies. They will speak of the Ghost of Sparta's latest atrocity. They will not know the truth. They will not know that the greatest victim of this slaughter kneels here in the ashes of his own soul. I rise slowly, my joints protesting as if I have aged a century in a single night. Perhaps I have. The blades of chaos lie where I dropped them, their surface still gleaming with blood. My blood, their blood, the blood of strangers. It all looks the same now. I pick them up, feeling their weight settle into my palms like old friends returning home. The chains coil around my forearms, warm against my ashen skin. These blades are all I have now, all I am, the instruments of Ares's will and the symbols of my damnation. I walk toward the temple entrance, leaving my family behind in Athena's care. I cannot bury them, cannot give them the rights they deserve. I am no longer worthy to speak prayers over their graves. But perhaps Athena, goddess of wisdom, will understand what her brother has done here. Perhaps she will see that they were innocent. Perhaps she will grant them peace in whatever realm awaits the dead. As for me, there will be no peace, no rest, no forgiveness. I step out into the night, and the wind carries with it the scent of smoke and death. Somewhere in the darkness, Ares waits with new orders, new cities to burn, new innocents to slaughter. I will obey. I have no choice. I feel nothing now, no rage, no sorrow, no hope for revenge or redemption. Just an endless, hollow emptiness where a man's heart once beat. The ghost of Sparta walks into the night, leaving only silence and sorrow in his wake. The man called Kratos is dead. What remains is a weapon, nothing more. And weapons do not dream of vengeance. They simply cut. 10 years. 10 years since the temple. 10 years since I became this thing that wears the name of ghost. 10 years of blood and ash and endless, screaming nights. I stand atop Mount Olympus, summoned by gods who no longer look upon me with satisfaction. They see what I have become, and even they are disturbed. My hands shake when they are not gripping the blades of chaos. My left eye twitches constantly, a nervous tremor I cannot control. I have not slept for more than minutes at a time in months. True sleep brings the dreams, and the dreams are worse than waking hell. The same dream. Always the same dream. I am teaching Calliope to fight, her small hands wrapped around a wooden sword. She laughs as I show her how to parry, how to strike. But when she turns to face me, practice blade raised, I see her throat has been cut. Blood pours down her chest as she asks, "Did I do good, Papa? Did I make you proud?" And Lysandra stands behind her, watching, her own wounds gaping. "Why didn't you come home?" she whispers. We waited so long. I wake screaming every time. If the gods are fortunate, I am far from civilization when it happens. If they are not, I burn whatever city I find myself in just to silence the echoes. Enough, I say, my voice cutting through the divine assembly like a blade. The gods fall silent, even mighty Zeus pausing in whatever petty squabble occupied his attention. I am no longer the desperate man who begged for their aid. I am something else now, something that makes even immortals step back when I approach. I have served you for 10 years. I have killed in your names. I have burned cities and toppled kingdoms. I have done everything you asked of me and more. Ares steps forward, his armor gleaming with fresh blood. My master, my creator, the architect of my damnation. Even now, I remember the last time I saw his true power unleashed. A mountain range in Thessaly that displeased him. Gone. Turned to glass and ash with a gesture. The screams of 100,000 souls silenced in an instant. That is what I would face. That is what wants to destroy me for even thinking of defiance. You serve still, Ghost of Sparta, until I release you. And release me. The words come out as a growl, barely human. I have paid your price 1,000 times over. And this? Give me peace. Peace? Ares laughs, a sound like grinding stone. You are war incarnate. There is no peace for what you are. But another voice cuts through his mockery. Cool, calculating, wise. Perhaps there is. Athena steps from the shadows, her gray eyes fixed upon me with something that might be pity or calculation. With gods, it is often the same thing. Sister, Ares snarls, do not interfere. I do not interfere. I offer perspective. She circles me slowly, studying me like a general studies a battlefield. 10 years you have served my brother. 10 years of faithful slaughter. But tell me, Ghost of Sparta, do you serve him still by choice? Or because you have forgotten what choice feels like? The question hits deeper than any blade. When did I last choose anything? When did I last act from will rather than compulsion? My life has become a series of commands and executions. an endless cycle of blood that I follow, because I have forgotten how to stop. I cannot remember the last time I decided anything for myself. What do you want, goddess? Her smile is cold as winter dawn. My brother grows ambitious. He no longer content to send his weapon against mortals. He turns his gaze toward Athens. My city, my people. Ares' laughter booms across Olympus. They have forgotten the true nature of war, sister. They speak of wisdom and philosophy while their warriors grow soft. I will remind them what strength truly means. By destroying them, Athena says simply, by burning Athens to the ground and salting the earth where it stood. She turns back to me, and I see something flicker in her eyes. Hope? Desperation? He plans to do this himself. Not through you, his faithful servant, but with his own divine power. Athens will fall in a single night, and with it, everything I have built. Then stop him yourself. I cannot. The laws of Olympus prevent us from directly warring against each other. But you, she pauses, letting the words hang in the air like a blade. You are mortal still, despite what my brother has made you. You could face him. The suggestion is madness. I look at the blades of chaos in my hands, weapons that have slain thousands. Against Ares, they would be like trying to cut down a mountain with a feather. I am strong, enhanced by his power, but I am not a god. Ares would crush me like an insect beneath his heel. This is not a battle. This is death. But it is also the revenge I have craved for 10 years. Athena continues, her voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carries across the mountain. Kill my brother, Ghost of Sparta. End the god of war, and I will do what he never would. My breath catches in my throat. What? I will forgive your sins. I will lift the curse that binds you. I will grant you the one thing you have sought for 10 years and never found. She steps closer, and her next words hit me like lightning. Peace, true peace. The ability to speak their names without screaming. To touch something beautiful without destroying it. To feel warmth instead of the endless cold that has claimed your heart. No more nightmares, no more guilt. No more visions of their faces twisted in death. As she speaks, a sensation I have not felt in 10 years flickers in my chest. Not warmth. Not yet, but a painful thawing. Like a frostbitten limb slowly, agonizingly returning to life. It hurts. Hope hurts. And that pain is the most beautiful thing I have felt since I last held my daughter's hand. The offer hangs in the air between us. Impossible. Beautiful. A chance at redemption I never dared imagine. But to earn it, I must do the impossible. I must kill a god. I must face the being who turned me into this monster and somehow emerge victorious. The rational part of my mind recoils. This is madness. Even if I could somehow wound Ares, he would make my death last centuries. He would torture me in ways that would make the last 10 years seem like paradise. But another part of me, a part that has been building with every nightmare, every memory of their faces, whispers different words. He used me. He orchestrated their deaths. He wanted me broken, and I gave him exactly what he desired. But broken weapons can still cut. What if I succeed? What if I could truly be free? What if I could see them again without shame burning in my chest? What if I could remember Calliope's laughter without hearing it turn to screams? What if I could hold the memory of Lysandra's touch without feeling blood on my hands? And yet, what if peace is worse than familiar torment? What if, without the pain, I forget them entirely? What if redemption means becoming someone who never loved them at all? This agony is all I have left of them. These nightmares, this guilt, they are the monuments I have built to their memory. To be free of the pain, does that mean I would be free of them? The thought is a betrayal worse than the one I committed in the temple. I have lived as a monster to honor their memory. Could I live as a man if it meant erasing it? You ask me to walk into the arms of death, I say finally. I ask you to do what you have always done, what you do best. Her smile turns predatory. I ask you to be a weapon. One last time. Ares steps forward, his massive form radiating heat and fury. You would turn my own creation against me, sister? You would steal my greatest work? I offer him what you never could, Athena replies without looking away from me. Hope. Ares roars with fury, divine fire erupting around him. You dare make bargains with my property? He does not move toward me, but the air around me superheats. The stone at my feet cracks and glows with molten heat, the very mountain groaning under his fury. A fraction of his power, a casual display of contempt, and it is enough to make my bones ache and my blood boil in my veins. He is not just a god. He is a force of nature, and I am considering standing in the heart of a hurricane. Hope, such a small word, such an impossible thing. I have not felt it in so long, I barely remember what it tastes like. But now it mingles with something else. Rage. Pure, focused hatred for the god who orchestrated everything. The alternative is clear. Continue as I am. Serve Ares until madness claims what remains of my mind, knowing he planned their deaths from the beginning. Or fight one last battle. One final gamble with death and damnation. Not just for the chance to be human again, but for the chance to make him pay. For the possibility of peace, yes, but also for the promise of revenge I have carried like poison in my veins for 10 years. If I do this, I say slowly, my voice barely a whisper, and if I somehow succeed, you swear the nightmares will end? You swear I will be able to remember them with love instead of horror? I swear it by the river Styx. Kill Ares, and your past will be forgiven. Your sins will be washed clean. You will find the peace that has been denied you. But I am no longer listening to him. For the first time in 10 years, I am making a choice. My choice. Not compulsion. Not command. Not the mindless obedience of a broken weapon. Choice. I draw the blades of chaos, their familiar weight settling into my palms. They feel pathetic now, toys compared to the power I must face. But they are all I have. The chains coil around my forearms, and for once, they do not feel like shackles. They feel like hope. Tell me how to kill a god. Athena's smile is sharp as winter ice. With pleasure. The hunt begins now, and at its end waits either salvation or damnation. After 10 years of hell, I will finally discover which I deserve. But for the first time since that cursed temple, I dare to hope it might be salvation, even if hope itself terrifies me more than death, even if salvation might be the cruelest betrayal of all. Athens burns. From the cliffs overlooking the city, I watch Ares' assault unfold like a fever dream of destruction. The god of war has not yet arrived in person, but his influence spreads through the streets like plague. Athenian soldiers turn on each other, consumed by divine madness. Families slaughter their own children. The wise philosophers Athena prized so highly tear each other apart with bare hands. This is what waits for me if I fail. This is the fate I must prevent. The journey from Olympus took 3 days. 3 days of traveling through a Greece that grows stranger and more violent with each passing hour. 3 days of walking past the monuments to my own damnation. On the first day, I passed through Corinth, or what remains of it. I burned this city 7 years ago on Ares' command. The survivors I encounter now flee at the sight of my pale flesh. A mother clutches her children closer when she sees me, whispering prayers to gods who did not save her husband from my blades. I remember his face. I remember all their faces. Sometimes, when the wind is quiet, I can still hear their screams. Sometimes I still smell the ash of the fires I set, a phantom stench that clings to me no matter how far I travel. On the second day, I walked through Megara, another city I destroyed, another population I decimated in service to the god of war. The few who remain have built shrines to the dead, carved with curses against the ghost of Sparta. They do not know I can read their words. They do not know each curse burns like acid in my chest. On the third day, the madness began. Ares' power seeps into the land itself, turning farmers into butchers, merchants into murderers. The very air tastes of blood and iron. But I have tasted worse. I have been worse. Now I descend into Athens like a pale shadow of death. The blades of chaos sing in my hands, cutting through Ares' corrupted followers with mechanical precision. A young Athenian soldier charges me with a broken spear, his eyes glowing with divine fury. As my blade takes his head, I see Lysandra's face flash in his eyes, a trick of the mind, a punishment for what I am about to do. An old woman claws at my throat, her face twisted with unnatural rage. She could be someone's grandmother, someone's beloved. The blades find her heart anyway. Each kill is efficient, clean, emotionless. But with each death, a voice whispers in my mind, "This is what you are. This is what you will always be. Even in service to Athena, you remain a destroyer." I push the thoughts away. There is no room for doubt. Not now. The streets grow stranger as I advance toward the temple. Reality itself seems to bend under the weight of divine influence. Buildings shift and twist. Shadows move independently of their sources. The dead rise to fight again, only to fall beneath my blades a second time. But nothing stops me. Nothing slows me. I have walked through worse hells than this. The temple steps are slick with blood. Bodies of Athenian guards lie scattered like broken dolls, their weapons useless against the madness that claimed them. Above, I can see the temple's entrance, its marble columns still standing despite the chaos below. Inside waits the oracle. Inside wait the answers I need. I climb the steps, leaving bloody footprints on white stone. The temple's interior is a sanctuary of silence in the midst of Athens' screaming death. Torches burn with steady light, unmarked by the chaos outside. At the far end, seated before Athena's statue, an ancient woman waits. The Oracle of Athens. Older than the stones themselves, her blind eyes turn toward my approach as if she has been expecting me for centuries. "Ghost of Sparta," she says, her voice carrying despite its frailty. "You seek the impossible. I do not waste time with pleasantries. Athena sent me. She says you know how a mortal can kill a god." The oracle's laugh is like wind through dry leaves. "A mortal? Look at yourself, warrior. What mortal bears the chains of Tartarus burned into his flesh? What mortal walks through divine madness untouched? You are mortal still, yes, but you are more than that now. Answer the question, old woman. Patience." She rises slowly, her ancient joints protesting. "You would face Ares, yes? You would stand before the god of war and match your strength against his? Yes. Then you will die, quickly, painfully, utterly." She approaches me, her sightless eyes somehow finding mine. "Unless..." "Unless what?" "Unless you claim power equal to his own. Unless you become, for a brief moment, what he is." I grip the blades of chaos tighter. The familiar weight does nothing to calm the unease growing in my chest. This sounds like another bargain. Another deal with forces beyond my understanding. Another path to damnation dressed as salvation. "Speak plainly." "There is an artifact," she says, circling me slowly, "created before the Titans fell, before Zeus claimed his throne, before the world took its current shape. A box that contains the power used to defeat the first gods." "Pandora's box. You know of it?" I remember the stories. Legends whispered by soldiers around campfires. A container holding all the evils of the world, opened by a foolish mortal woman and unleashed upon humanity. But legends are often lies, or incomplete truths. I know the myth. Pandora opened it, released evil into the world. The oracle's smile is sharp as winter frost. Pandora released chaos, yes, but that was not the box's true purpose. It was created as a weapon, the ultimate weapon, the power to overthrow gods themselves. She stops before me, her blind gaze burning with intensity. Zeus defeated the Titans with that power, locked their strength within the box, then hid it away where none could find it. He feared what it represented, feared that another might use it against him. Where is it? Carried on the back of Kratos himself. The Titan king, still alive despite his defeat, wandering the desert of lost souls, with Pandora's temple chained to his flesh. The words hit me like a physical blow. Kratos, I have heard the legends, but the reality is beyond comprehension. He is not merely large, the oracle continues, seeing my shock. He is geography made flesh, a mountain of tormented god flesh that groans with each step. His heartbeat causes earthquakes. His breathing shifts the desert sands. The temple chained to his back is a city unto itself, crawling with the spawn of Tartarus. The impossibility of it staggers me. How does one climb a living mountain? How does one navigate a temple the size of a city while it writhes and shifts with each movement of its divine bearer? You speak of madness, I say. I speak of necessity. Her voice grows cold. And if you reach this box, if you somehow claim its power, the strength of the Titans will flow through your mortal frame. You will grow to the size of a god. You will wield power that shaped the world itself. She pauses, her expression growing grave. But that power will burn through you like wildfire through dry grass. Your mortal flesh was never meant to contain such forces. It will change you, transform you, possibly destroy you from within. And when the battle is done, if you survive it, you may find that what emerges is no longer the man who sought to save his soul. Another warning, another price, another bargain that promises salvation while delivering damnation. This is the same path, another desperate bargain, another deal with power beyond my understanding. A flicker of rage ignites in my chest, not the red mist of Ares, but my own. A cold fury at the gods and their endless poisoned games. They never offer salvation, only a new, more elaborate cage. I think of my family, of the promise I made to remember them. If this power changes me as she suggests, will I still be capable of love? Will I still remember why I began this quest? Or will I become something else entirely? Another monster wearing the face of the man who once kissed his daughter goodnight? How do I find Kratos? Travel north, past the cliffs of Aegean, into the desert of lost souls, where the wind carries the screams of the damned. Follow the earthquakes. Follow the sound of chains that could bind worlds. Follow the weeping of a father who destroyed everything he loved. The last words hit deeper than intended. A father who destroyed everything he loved. Is that what I am? Is that what I will always be? But beware, warrior. The desert is not empty. Creatures older than civilization guard the paths to the Titan. The sirens, whose songs drive men to madness. The Cyclops, who forge weapons for gods. The Gorgons, whose gaze turns flesh to stone. They will test you. They will try to break you. And if you falter, even for a moment, they will add your bones to the countless others that litter the sand. I do not falter. No, she agrees. You do not. But this journey will test more than your strength. It will test your will, your purpose, your very reason for drawing breath. It will ask you the question that terrifies you most. What question? Whether the man who loved Lysandra and Calliope can survive the power needed to avenge them. Whether saving your soul requires destroying everything that makes you worthy of salvation. The oracle returns to her place before Athena's statue, settling into her vigil once more. Go then, Ghost of Sparta. Seek the power that toppled gods. Claim the strength to face your master. She pauses, her blind eyes fixed upon me with terrible certainty. But remember my words when you stand before Pandora's box. The Titan on whose back you walk devoured his children for fear of being replaced. You murdered yours in service to a god. The question you must answer is not whether you can claim his power, but whether you will use it to break the cycle, or simply become its next most terrible rotation. I turn toward the temple entrance, toward the burning city beyond. The oracle's words echo in my mind, each one a dagger to the heart, but they change nothing. I have a path now, a destination, a chance, however slim, to claim the power I need. Even if that power destroys me, even if victory means becoming the very thing I seek to escape. Kratos waits in the desert, carrying the key to godhood on his broken back, and I will find him. The hunt continues, even if it leads to my own damnation, even if I am doomed to repeat the sins of fathers who destroy what they love most. The cycle must be broken, or I must become its most terrible completion. The desert of lost souls stretches before me like a wound in the world. For 3 days, I have walked across this wasteland of bone-white sand and twisted stone. The sun burns overhead without mercy, but I do not feel its heat. The nights bring cold that would freeze mortal blood, but I do not shiver. Ares made me into something beyond such weaknesses, but he did not make me immune to the desert's true torment. The voices. At first, they are 1,000 nameless souls, whispers of the damned, rising from the sand with every step. But the desert learns. It tastes my guilt on the wind and begins to speak with voices I know. It gives my specific sins a sound. The barbarian king, laughing as he describes the wife and children he left behind. The priest from the temple, praying for forgiveness for sins he never committed. 1,000 nameless soldiers, calling for mothers who will never answer. And then, the whispers that cut deeper than any blade. Papa, you promised you'd teach me to dance. You said you'd be home before the harvest moon. Details only they would know, promises only they would remember. The desert has reached into my memories and stolen their voices, wearing them like masks to torment me. I push forward, one foot in front of the other, leaving the voices behind in the sand. But they follow. They always follow. On the 4th day, I feel it. The ground trembles beneath my feet. Not the random shifting of sand, but something rhythmic, purposeful, like the beating of an enormous heart, or the footsteps of a god. I climb a ridge of black stone and see him, Kratos. The sight steals what little breath I have left. He is not a creature. He is a landscape, a moving mountain of flesh and bone and divine agony that stretches from horizon to horizon. His skin is the color of granite, scarred by eons of torment and slick with sweat that falls like rain. His hair hangs in massive waterfalls of gray that could hide entire cities. His arms, each one the size of a mountain range, drag behind him as he walks, leaving furrows in the desert deep enough to swallow armies. Chained to his back, rising like a second mountain from his shoulders, is Pandora's temple. It is larger than any structure mortals have ever built, larger than the pyramids, larger than the walls of Troy. A city of black stone and twisted metal that moves with each labored step of the Titan who bears it. Chains thicker than ship masts bind it to his flesh, their links forged from metals that predate the creation of the world. The temple writhes as Kronos moves, its walls shifting, its passages rearranging themselves like the coils of a sleeping serpent. I can see movement on its surface. Creatures, monsters, things that should not exist crawling across stone that should not move. Somewhere within that impossible structure lies Pandora's box, the key to killing a god, the key to my salvation or my damnation. Kronos' voice reaches me across the desert, a sound like continents grinding together. He is speaking, but not to me, not to anyone. The words are ancient, in a language that predates human speech, but somehow I understand them. Rhea, My beloved Rhea, I thought I was protecting them. I thought if I devoured them, they would be safe inside me. Forgive me. Forgive me. He weeps as he walks. Tears the size of lakes fall from his eyes, turning the sand beneath him to black mud. Each drop carries the weight of infinite regret. A father who destroyed his children to protect them from prophecy, who believed that love meant consumption, who convinced himself that murder was mercy. I stare at him and see my own future. This is what I am becoming. This is what I will be if I continue down this path. A living monument to paternal failure, carrying my guilt like chains for all eternity. But I also see something else. A chance. If I can claim the power he carries, perhaps I can break the cycle. Perhaps I can become something different. I begin my descent toward the Titan, sliding down slopes of sand and stone. The closer I get, the more impossible he becomes. His footsteps cause earthquakes that throw me to the ground. His breathing creates winds that threaten to tear me apart. The heat radiating from his divine flesh turns the air around him into a shimmering hell. But I do not stop. I cannot stop. I reach the base of his leg as he lifts his foot for another step. For a moment, I stand in his shadow, dwarfed by flesh that could crush mountains. His leg is a cliff face of scarred skin and protruding bone, marked by wounds that will never heal. Divine sweat pours down like waterfalls, making every surface treacherous. And then he takes his step, and I leap. My hands find purchase on skin rougher than stone, but immediately begin to slip on the slick surface. The blades of chaos bite deep, their chains extending to their full length as I begin the impossible climb. Kratos does not notice. To him, I am less than an insect, less than dust. I am nothing at all. The ascent is agony beyond description. Each handhold is a struggle against flesh that refuses to yield and sweat that makes every grip treacherous. His pulse thunders through his body like earthquake tremors, each beat threatening to shake me loose and send me plummeting to my death. My mortal frame screams in protest. My lungs burn with air too thick to breathe. My muscles tear and rebuild themselves with each desperate movement. Blood flows from my fingertips where I claw at divine skin that cuts like granite. For a single dizzying moment, I see her face. Not Lysandra, not Calliope, but Athena. Her cold eyes, her impossible promise. Peace, she had said. The word is a foreign country. I am trying to reach by climbing a mountain of flesh. The memory, the sliver of hope, is enough. I find another handhold, and I climb. Hours pass, or perhaps days. Time has no meaning on the body of a Titan. I climb past wounds that gape like caverns, past veins that pulse with blood darker than night. I climb through forests of hair that whip around me like living things, threatening to tear me loose. The voices follow me up his flesh, growing stronger with each foot I ascend. Papa, why did you leave us in the temple? You knew we were there, didn't you? You wanted this to happen. They speak in unison now, a chorus of accusation that burrows into my skull like parasites. You enjoyed killing us. You smiled when you saw our blood. You were always a monster. No, I roar, driving the blades of chaos deeper into Kratos' flesh. I loved you. I would have died for you. But the voices only laugh, a sound like breaking glass that echoes across the Titan's body. Monsters emerge from his flesh to challenge me. Parasites the size of buildings, feeding on divine blood. They attack with claws like spears and teeth like swords, but the blades of chaos cut through them like smoke. Their blood, black and acidic, burns through my skin, but I do not slow. I climb past a massive scar that runs along Kratos' ribs. Within its depths, I see something that makes my blood freeze. Images, memories carved into divine flesh. I see Kratos holding his newborn children, love shining in his ancient eyes. I see him receiving the prophecy that one would overthrow him. I see the moment when love turned to fear, when protection became destruction. I see him opening his mouth and swallowing his own son whole. The expression on his face in that moment is one I recognize. The same expression I wore in the temple when the red mist cleared. Horror, regret, the terrible realization of what love had made him do. I tear my gaze away and continue climbing, but the truth follows me like a shadow. This is my path. This is my destination. Not the power in Pandora's box, but the eternal torment of Kratos himself. Unless I choose differently. Unless I break the cycle instead of completing it. I climb past his shoulder, past the massive chains that bind the temple to his back. The metal is warm to the touch, pulsing with power that makes my teeth ache. I can feel the weight of the structure above me, a mass that defies comprehension pressing down on the Titan's tortured form. And still, he walks. Still, he weeps. Still, he begs forgiveness from children who will never hear him. Finally, after what feels like an eternity of climbing, I reach the base of the temple itself. It looms above me like a nightmare given form. Black stone carved with symbols that writhe and shift when I look at them directly. Metal that gleams with its own malevolent light and weeps tears of rust that hiss when they hit the Titan's flesh. Passages that twist and branch like the arteries of some vast, diseased heart. And somewhere within this labyrinth of madness waits Pandora's box. I find an opening in the temple's base. Not a doorway, but a wound. A crack between stones that pulses like torn flesh, wide enough for a man to squeeze through. The air that flows from within carries the scent of decay and divine corruption. Something that should never be disturbed. Something that actively resents my presence. The crack contracts as I approach, trying to seal itself against my intrusion. I drive the blades of chaos into its edges, forcing it open like a surgeon opening a reluctant patient. The temple screams. The sound is felt rather than heard, a vibration that runs through my bones and sets my teeth on edge. The structure does not want me here. It knows what I seek, and it will fight to prevent me from claiming it. I enter anyway, squeezing through the wound in a spray of fluid that might be blood or might be something worse. The passage leads upward, always upward, through corridors that defy geometry and rooms that exist in too many dimensions. The walls pulse with the Titan's heartbeat. The floor shifts with his breathing. Everything moves, everything lives, everything suffers. The air grows thicker with each step, heavy with the weight of imprisoned power. I can feel Pandora's box calling to me from somewhere in the darkness ahead, its presence like a second heartbeat in my chest. But I can also feel something else. The voices are here, not echoing from the desert below, but present in the temple itself, waiting for me in the chamber where the box rests. Come to us, Papa. We're waiting for you. We have so much to discuss. I climb toward the answer, one agonizing step at a time, on the back of a god who destroyed everything he loved, just like me. But perhaps, unlike him, I still have a choice. Perhaps the cycle can still be broken. The voices grow stronger with each step, and I realize they are not echoing from memory. They are coming from Pandora's box itself, and they sound just like Lysandra and Calliope. A perfect imitation, a perfect lure. Is it truly them, trapped within? Or is it the ancient power of the box itself, wearing their faces, speaking with their voices, waiting to offer me my heart's desire before it devours me completely? I reach the chamber's heart. There it hangs, suspended by impossible forces, Pandora's box. Small, obsidian, pulsing with contained power that predates the gods themselves. The voices of my family call to me from within, promising reunion, forgiveness, peace. I know it may be a lie. I know it may destroy me. But I have come too far to hesitate now. I tear the box from its moorings and open it without ceremony. Power beyond comprehension erupts into me, the strength of the Titans flooding my mortal frame. I grow, expand, burst through the temple's roof as divine energy transforms me into something magnificent and terrible. I am a colossus now, standing hundreds of feet tall in the desert sun. And there, on a distant mountain peak, Ares waits for me, the god of war, my master, my destroyer, my final target. The battle shakes the foundations of reality itself. For what feels like hours, we trade blows that reshape continents. My mountain-born club shatters against his divine blade, so I tear another peak from the earth. His sword cuts valleys into my flesh, but I heal through sheer force of will. We are titans destroying the world through our conflict, two colossi locked in combat that will determine the fate of mortals and gods alike. But even as we fight, I can feel something terrible happening. The power of the titans burns through my mortal frame like wildfire through dry grass. Each exchange of blows costs me more than it costs him. Each moment that passes brings me closer to mortality. The godhood I claimed from Pandora's box was never meant to last. It is borrowed power, and now it bleeds away with every heartbeat. Ares senses it too. His attacks become more patient, more calculated. He no longer seeks to overwhelm me with raw power. Instead, he fights like a predator, wearing down wounded prey, waiting for the moment when my divine strength fails completely. You fight well for a mortal with stolen power, he taunts, his sword parrying my club with contemptuous ease. But borrowed power has limits. What will you do when it runs out? I feel myself shrinking. The godlike strength that let me match him blow for blow begins to ebb like a tide. My massive form contracts, divine energy bleeding away until I stand before him once again at mortal scale. Small, vulnerable, human. Ares towers over me now, his massive form radiating triumph and cruel satisfaction. There, he says, his voice like grinding stone. Now you are what you truly are, mortal, weak, mine. His blade moves faster than thought, piercing my chest with surgical precision. The blades of chaos, my own weapons, torn from my hands and turned against me. I feel the familiar weight of the chains as they pin me to the desert floor, my own blood pooling beneath me. The irony is not lost on him. How fitting, Ares laughs, that you should die by the very weapons I gave you, the very chains that bound you to my service. But as the pain floods through me, as my life bleeds out into the sand, Ares does something worse than simply killing me. He leans close, his massive face filling my vision, and smiles. Tell me, Ghost of Sparta, do you remember what I taught you about war? The strongest weapon is not the sharpest blade. It is not the heaviest armor. It is not even the most terrible rage. The strongest weapon is the enemy's mind turned against him. He raises his hand, and I feel something invasive pierce my skull like a red-hot spear. Not physical pain, but something worse. My senses are suddenly overwhelmed by input that makes no sense. I see colors that don't exist. Hear sounds from memories that aren't mine. Taste the copper of blood that was spilled decades before my birth. Welcome to the true battlefield, Ares says, his voice echoing from inside my own head. Here, in the realm of mind and memory, where your greatest enemies are the truths you cannot escape. The desert doesn't fade. It is torn away like skin from bone, revealing something underneath that was always there. Something I have been trying to forget. Stone walls, torch-lit corridors, the scent of incense and the whisper of prayers. Athena's temple, the place where I murdered my family. But this isn't memory. This is more real than reality. I can feel the rough stone beneath my feet, smell the wax from the candles, hear the distant sound of wind through broken windows. My divine sight shows me details I never noticed that night. Scratches in the stone where other weapons had struck. Bloodstains from sacrifices made years before I arrived. This is the temple as it truly was. as it exists in some deeper layer of reality that guilt has preserved forever. No, I whisper, but the word carries the weight of mortal fear. This is Ares' domain now, shaped by divine will and powered by my own guilt. Yes, Ares laughs, and I realize he is not just observing this nightmare. He is conducting it, adjusting it in real time based on my reactions. Face the truth, my weapon. Face what you really are. The temple materializes around us with perfect, horrifying detail. Every stone is exactly as I remember. Every shadow falls in precisely the same pattern. Even the air tastes the same, heavy with the promise of bloodshed. And there, kneeling before the altar, are the last villagers. Lysandra, Calliope, the priest who tried to protect them. All exactly as they were on that terrible night 10 years ago. But as I watch, Lysandra turns toward me with eyes that hold no fear. Only infinite sadness. You came back, she says, her voice carrying the weight of every prayer I never answered. After all this time, you came back to us. This is not real, I say, but the words sound hollow even to me, isn't it? Ares materializes beside the altar, but he is no longer the massive titan I was fighting moments before. He appears as he did that night, tall, imposing, merciless. This is the moment that defines you, the moment that made you mine. Live it again. He gestures, and I feel something terrible building in the back of my skull. That familiar sensation of foreign rage overwhelming my own thoughts. Feel that? Ares whispers, his voice caressing my mind like a poisonous snake. That beautiful fury? It's calling to you. It wants to be used. It needs to be used. I try to resist, try to reject the illusion, but the psychic landscape has weight and substance beyond my ability to deny. This is Ares' domain, shaped by divine will and powered by my own guilt. The red mist begins to descend. Fight it, Calliope calls out, her child's voice cutting through the growing haze. Papa, you're stronger than his anger. You're stronger than his lies. Remember who you were before he touched you, Lysandra adds, her hands pressed together in prayer. Remember the man who promised to come home to us. But even as they speak, my hands move without conscious thought. They reach for weapons that should not exist in this place. The blades of chaos, hanging at my sides as they did that night. The chains feel heavier than I remember, hungrier. You cannot change the past, Ares whispers, his voice like acid eating through my will. You cannot undo what was done. All you can do is watch it happen again, and again, and again, until you understand that this is your nature. The red mist thickens. The world narrows to a single point of focus. My hands close around the hilts of the blades of chaos. No, I gasp, trying to pull my hands away. I will not do this again. But the blades move anyway, guided by forces beyond my control. They swing in deadly arcs toward the people I love most in the world. And then, impossibly, something blocks them. Another set of blades of chaos, wielded by another figure in pale flesh and ash-marked skin. Another me, but this one is different. This one wears the expression I had before I made my bargain with Ares. This one still has hope in his eyes, still bears the face of a man who believed in honor and love and the possibility of coming home. I won't let you, he says, his voice identical to mine, but filled with the determination I lost. Not again. Never again. We fight, the two versions of myself, in the space before the altar. Blade against blade, chain against chain. What I am against what I could have been. Around us, more figures materialize. But these are not random phantoms. Each one represents a specific aspect of my guilt made manifest. There is the general, the version of me that takes pride in tactical brilliance, who sees family as collateral damage in the pursuit of victory. There is the father, the version that weeps as he strikes, who kills out of twisted love, believing death is better than abandonment. There is the monster, the version that smiles as the blades fall, who has embraced what Ares made him and finds joy in destruction. All of them move toward the altar with weapons raised. All of them are me. Do you see? Ares laughs, but his voice has taken on a quality I've never heard before. Desperation masked as confidence. This is what you are. A creature of infinite contradictions. A weapon that destroys everything it touches, even when it tries to protect. As he speaks, I notice something strange. One of the temple stones flickers for just a moment, becoming translucent before solidifying again. And Ares' own form wavers slightly, like heat haze over summer stone. His control is not as absolute as he pretends. I watch the General Phantom raise his blade toward Calliope with cold calculation. Watch the Father Phantom weep as he approaches Lysandra. Watch the monster phantom lick its lips in anticipation. I watch other versions of myself, trying to stop them. The husband who died defending his family. The protector who threw himself between innocence and harm. The man who chose love over power. Every choice leads to the same end, Ares continues, and I can feel him feeding off the chaos, growing stronger as my psyche rips itself apart. Every path brings you to this moment. You are a destroyer, Kratos. Accept it. Embrace it. Stop fighting what you are. The Father Phantom reaches Lysandra first. His face is streaked with tears as he raises the blades of chaos above her head. I do this because I love you, he whispers. I do this so you'll never have to see what I've become. I know, Lysandra replies, her voice filled with infinite compassion. And I forgive you. The words hit me like lightning, not accusation, not fear. Forgiveness. The chaos of the battle around me seems to fade to a dull roar. Forgiveness. It is a concept so alien, so impossible, that my mind cannot process it. For one perfect silent moment, the phantoms stop, the blades lower. I simply stare, a ghost seeing the sun for the first time in a decade. Forgiveness. Then the moment shatters. Without thinking, I throw myself forward, abandoning my own battle to intercept the Father Phantom. My chains wrap around his, pulling his strike wide. Why do you fight? He asks, his face a perfect mirror of my own, tears streaming down pale cheeks. You know how this ends. You know they're better off dead than abandoned by us. They were never abandoned, I reply, driving my knee into his stomach. I never stopped fighting to get back to them. The Father Phantom dissolves, but three more take his place. The General, the monster, a new one I don't recognize. The slave, who kills because his master commands it and takes no responsibility for his actions. The battle is hopeless. For every version of myself I stop, two more appear. The General calculates the most efficient way to kill them. The monster savors every moment of terror. The slave simply obeys. But as I fight, I notice the good phantom, the one with hope still in his eyes, fighting beside me. Not just defending, but actively trying to reach me. You don't have to do this alone, he calls out, parrying a strike from the monster. You were never meant to be alone. And suddenly I understand. I have been fighting myself for so long that I forgot I was more than just guilt and rage. I forgot the man who chose love over glory, who promised to come home, who believed, despite everything, that some things were worth protecting. I reach out to the hopeful phantom, and our hands clasp. The moment we touch, something changes. Not fusion, but integration. The hope doesn't replace the rage, it transforms it, gives it purpose beyond destruction. Through it all, Ares laughs, conducting this symphony of self-destruction with divine precision. You see? He says, his voice growing more confident with each phantom that appears. You cannot win against yourself. You cannot escape what you fundamentally are. But as I fight, something begins to change in my perception. I look closer at Ares, standing beside the altar with his arms crossed, watching my internal battle with divine amusement. More stones flicker now. Cracks appear in the walls. His own form wavers more frequently, and I realize something terrible. He is not just observing this nightmare. He is living in it. The psychic realm he has created is not separate from his own mind. It is an extension of it, which means every phantom version of me that appears, every aspect of guilt and self-hatred made manifest, is not just drawn from my psyche. It is drawn from his understanding of me, his perception of what I am, and his perception is flawed. You made one mistake, I tell him, my voice cutting through the chaos of phantom combat. What? For the first time, uncertainty creeps into his voice. More cracks appear in the temple walls. You taught me that the strongest weapon is the enemy's mind turned against him. I stop fighting the phantom versions of myself. Instead, I turn toward him, the integrated hope and rage burning in my chest like a star. But you never considered that your mind might be turned against you as well. I reach out, not with divine power alone, but with something else. Something I learned when I opened Pandora's box and claimed the power of the Titans. The ability to exist between states, to break rules that gods consider absolute. I reach into his psyche the same way he reached into mine, and I show him what I truly am. Not just the monster he created, not just the weapon he forged, but everything. The man who loved so deeply that losing that love broke reality itself. The father who crawled back from death rather than abandon his quest for redemption. The soul who refused to accept that some sins cannot be forgiven. The soul who chose to integrate his darkness with his light, becoming something whole and terrible and beautiful. The temple around us wavers. Cracks spread like spiderwebs across the psychic landscape. Because this is not just my nightmare anymore. This is his. And I am about to show the god of war what happens when love refuses to die, even when it has been murdered and transformed into something terrible. Especially then. The psychic temple shatters around us like glass. Reality reasserts itself with violent force. The desert materializes beneath my feet, and I feel the blades of chaos still piercing my chest, still pinning me to the blood-soaked sand. But something has changed. The integration with my hopeful self, the breaking of Ares' psychic prison, has done something unexpected. It has made me whole. Not mortal, not divine, but something between. Something that exists in the spaces where rules break down. Ares staggers backward, his massive form no longer radiating the confidence it once did. The psychic backlash has left him reeling, his own mind turned against him in ways he never imagined possible. Impossible, he gasps, divine ichor streaming from wounds that should not exist on his perfect form. You were broken. You were mine. You cannot. But even as he speaks, I feel another presence. Divine, familiar. Athena's voice. Rise, Kratos. You must claim the blade of the gods yourself. Athena's voice cuts through the air, piercing the haze of pain. I must reach it. I must find the strength to claim what I need. The agony is immense, but in the distance, I see it. The colossal statue of Athena, rising above the burning city, her stone hands clutching the blade of the gods. With effort that tears at my very soul, I begin the agonizing journey across the ravaged desert towards Athens. Each step is a battle against my failing body, against the agony of the blades still impaling me. I stumble through the ruined streets, past the echoes of screams and the smoldering remains. The colossal statue of Athena looms before me. I reach its base, hands slick with my own blood, and with a final desperate surge of will, I grasp the hilt of the blade of the gods, pulling it from her stone hands. Divine power flows through me once more, not the borrowed strength of the Titans, but something earned, something final. The blades of chaos that pin me to the ground dissolve like mist, and I rise to face Ares one final time. You want to fight me as a god? I say, my voice carrying a new quality. Not the thunder of borrowed godhood, but something deeper. The sound of absolute certainty. Then face me as what I truly am. I advance on him, and for the first time in our long relationship, the god of war retreats. The blade of the gods hums with power in my hands, eager for divine blood. But this time, it is his weapon that shatters. The sword he carried for millennia, forged in the fires of war itself, breaks like glass against Athena's gift. What are you? He whispers as his transformed shape begins to crumble under my assault. I raise the blade of the gods for the final strike. I am free. As I approach with the blade of the gods, Ares roars in desperate fury. His massive form begins to twist and change, divine flesh reshaping itself into something else entirely. He becomes a gigantic manifestation of the blades of chaos themselves, the very weapons that bound me to his service, transformed into a living embodiment of my chains. The final duel is symbolic and brutal. Athena's wisdom against Ares' bondage, freedom against slavery. We clash in the shadow of burning Athens. God-killer against God, freedom against bondage. His transformed flesh writhes and strikes like the chains that once defined my existence. But now, I am the one who binds and breaks. Each blow of Athena's blade chips away at his divine essence. Each cut a small liberation from years of servitude. The battle is not just between us. It is between what I was and what I choose to become. When his massive form finally crumbles, when the living chains crack and bleed divine ichor, I see not the god who tormented me, but the architect of his own destruction. Please, he gasps, falling to his knees before me. The word tastes foreign on his immortal tongue. I am your master. I made you what you are. Without me, you are nothing. Without you, I say, raising the blade of the gods above his head, I am finally free. The blade falls with the weight of divine justice. Ares, god of war, dies with my name on his lips. His massive form crashes to the desert floor with an impact that levels the remaining mountains. Divine blood pools in the sand, turning it to glass. It is done. For a moment, silence reigns over the devastated landscape. No wind, no sound. Even the distant moaning of Kratos has ceased. Then, gradually, I become aware that I am not alone. Athens materializes around me. Not the burning, maddened city I left behind, but something restored. The divine madness that consumed its people has lifted with Ares' death. Buildings repair themselves. The dead rise, healed by proximity to divine ichor. The very air clears, free of the taint of war. I have saved them. Saved the city. Saved the people who will never know my name or understand the price that was paid for their preservation. Hope stirs in my chest for the first time since I opened Pandora's box. Perhaps it was worth it. Perhaps the nightmares will end. Perhaps I will finally find the peace that has eluded me for so long. Well done. The voice comes from behind me. I turn to see her approaching across the restored streets. Athena, goddess of wisdom, the architect of this entire campaign. She moves with divine grace, her gray robes flowing like liquid mercury. Her owl perches on her shoulder, its ancient eyes reflecting knowledge that spans eons. You have exceeded my expectations, she continues, stopping a respectful distance away. Ares is dead. Athens is saved. My people are free to pursue wisdom and philosophy without the taint of endless war. She smiles, and there is something in her expression I have never seen before. Satisfaction. Not the satisfaction of a task completed, but something deeper. Something that reminds me of triumph. You have fulfilled your part of our bargain to absolute perfection. Then fulfill yours. The words come out with desperate hope. I should feel triumph. I should feel satisfaction. I have accomplished the impossible. Killed a god, saved a city. Instead, I feel the terrible weight of what I have endured. Your reward, your absolution, your peace. She raises her hand, and I feel something shift in the air around me. Divine power, older and more subtle than Ares' crude strength, washes over me like a gentle tide. Your sins are forgiven, she declares, her voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. Every life you took in service to my brother, every city you burned, every innocent you slaughtered, all of it washed clean by divine mercy. I wait for the relief to come, for the weight of guilt to lift from my shoulders, for the peace she promised. It does not come. Instead, I feel exactly the same. The faces of my victims still crowd my memory. The weight of their deaths still presses down on my soul. Nothing has changed. Nothing at all. The nightmares, I say, my voice beginning to crack. You promised they would end. Athena's expression shifts, becoming more clinical, more precise. I promised your sins would be forgiven, and they are. But forgiveness and forgetting are not the same thing. The words hit me like a blade through the chest. My knees nearly buckle as the full implications crash over me. The gods have absolved you of your crimes. Your slate is clean in the eyes of Olympus. But we never promised to take away your memories. The nightmares will remain. The guilt will endure. The faces of your victims will continue to haunt your sleep. No mortal, no god, could ever forget the terrible deeds you have done. The revelation crashes over me like a collapsing mountain. Everything, all of it. The journey to find Pandora's box, the battle with Ares, the integration of my fractured soul, the impossible victories, the unthinkable sacrifices. All of it, and the nightmares will continue. The faces will remain. Lysandra and Calliope will still call to me from the darkness, their voices filled with accusation and betrayal. Every night for eternity, I will relive the moment I murdered them. Every dawn will bring the fresh agony of remembering what I am. I will carry this burden forever. My chest feels hollow, empty, as if something vital has been carved out of me and left to bleed. I stumble toward the harbor, toward ships that can carry me away from this place, away from the weight of what I cannot escape. The faces of those I loved and lost swim before my eyes. The voices of the dead whisper accusations I cannot answer. The gods of Olympus have abandoned me, I whisper to the wind. Now there is no hope. I make my way to the bluffs overlooking the Aegean Sea. Far below, dark water stretches toward infinity, promising depths that could swallow any burden, any guilt, any ghost. Death would be my escape from madness. I step forward, letting gravity claim me. The wind rushes past my face as I fall toward the water that will finally end the nightmare that my life has become. But the impact never comes. Instead, I feel myself lifted, borne aloft like a feather, rising from the sea and placed gently on solid earth. You will not die this day, Kratos. Athena's voice carries divine authority, mixed with something that might be compassion. The gods cannot allow one who has performed such service to perish by his own hand. She stands before me on the cliff, her expression serene, but there's something else now. Something that chills me to the bone. Satisfaction. Pure, calculating satisfaction. Do you know why I couldn't let you die? She asks, circling me like a predator studying wounded prey. Because everything has proceeded exactly as I calculated. Every variable accounted for. Every outcome anticipated. My hands begin to shake. Not with rage, but with something far worse. The growing certainty that I am about to learn something I do not want to know. What are you talking about? Oh, my dear Ghost of Sparta. Did you truly believe any of this was coincidence? Did you think your life was shaped by chance and choice? The words hit me like lightning. The barbarian horde that led to your first bargain with Ares, she continues, her voice taking on the cadence of a teacher delivering a well-rehearsed lecture. I guided them to your position, fed them intelligence about Spartan troop movements, ensured they would be numerous enough to overwhelm even your tactical brilliance. No, the oracle who warned you about the temple where your family died. One of my priestesses, following my specific instructions. She told you just enough to make you curious, not enough to make you cautious. You're lying. The village itself, chosen specifically for its symbolic value and its connection to my worship. Your family was brought there by agents in my service, told they would be safe in a temple dedicated to wisdom and protection. Each word is another nail in the coffin of everything I thought I knew about my life. The very red mist that Ares used to control you, enhanced by my own subtle influence. I wanted to ensure you would be completely consumed by rage when the moment came. I wanted to guarantee you would do exactly what was necessary. The weight of this revelation is crushing me more completely than any physical force. Every choice you made led you closer to this moment, Athena continues, her voice filled with academic satisfaction. The oracle who told you about Pandora's box. Mine, the path you took to find Kratos, carefully guided by signs and portents I arranged. Stop, I whisper. Your dramatic attempt at death? I expected that, planned for it, calculated into my equations from the beginning. Everything Ghost of Sparta. Every moment of hope and despair, every victory and defeat, carefully orchestrated to bring you to this exact point. Not just the recent manipulation, not just the false hope and hollow promises. All of it, my entire life. Every choice, every victory, every moment of love and loss. Nothing more than variables in an equation I never knew I was solving. Why? The word comes out as a broken whisper. Because Ares was becoming a problem. His crude approach to warfare was limiting its potential. War should serve wisdom, not oppose it. It should be a tool of civilization, not its destroyer. She stops before me, her ancient eyes filled with triumphant satisfaction. But I needed a replacement who understood suffering, who knew the true cost of conflict, who would be so broken that he would accept power gratefully, never questioning how to use it. Behind me, divine light begins to shimmer in the air. A stairway materializes, leading upward into clouds that glow with divine fire. Ares' tactics were brutal. His path of destruction had to be stopped. But now there is an empty throne on Olympus, and a new god of war is needed. She gestures toward the stairs, and I feel an invisible force beginning to pull at me. Take these stairs, Kratos. They lead to what you have always been destined to become. I try to resist, try to refuse, but my body no longer belongs to me. My legs straighten without my permission. My feet carry me forward step by inexorable step. I am a puppet dancing to strings I cannot see, controlled by a will that is not my own. No, I gasp, fighting against my own muscles. I will not. I will not. But my body betrays me. My arms move at my sides. My head turns toward the stairs, despite every effort to look away. The throne room of Olympus materializes around me as I ascend against my will. Massive columns stretch toward a sky that burns with divine fire. And there, carved from materials that seem to drink light itself, stands the throne of the god of war. Empty, waiting, patient as eternity itself. I reach the throne and feel my hands place themselves on its armrests, without any input from my conscious mind. The stone is warm beneath my palms, pulsing with power that makes every atom in my body sing with anticipation. Sit, Athena commands, and I feel the compulsion settle over me like a blanket of lead. I try to resist. I pour every ounce of will I possess into the simple act of remaining standing. But it is not enough. My knees bend. My body lowers itself into the seat that will seal my fate forever. The moment I touch the throne, everything changes. Power flows through me like molten metal, rewriting my essence at levels deeper than flesh and bone. But this is not the clean transformation I experienced with Pandora's box. This is violation. Hollowing. I feel pieces of myself being carved away and discarded. my capacity for doubt, my ability to question authority, my memory of what it felt like to be human. All of it fed into fires that burn away everything I was and replace it with something else. Something designed, something controlled. I grow larger, more imposing, more terrible. My pale flesh takes on the pallor of marble. My eyes burn with divine fire. But inside, in the spaces between thoughts where consciousness lives, I feel myself screaming. I am Kratos, god of war, powerful beyond measure, terrible beyond description, more completely trapped than I have ever been. But in the deepest corner of my transformed consciousness, in a place so small that even divine perception cannot reach it, something survives. A memory. A single crystalline moment from before all of this began. Calliope, a sweet child, falling asleep in my arms while I sang her a lullaby. Her tiny hand curled around my finger. Her absolute trust that I would protect her from anything that could harm her. From that point forward, throughout the rest of time, whenever mortals ride forth to battle, they do so under my watchful eye. But I am not the god Athena intended me to be. Where Ares fed on chaos, I remember the cost of every life lost. Where he reveled in destruction, I carry the weight of every family torn apart. The nightmares that were meant to break me have become my fuel. Every face that haunts me is a reminder of the god's manipulation. Every scream in my dreams feeds my growing hatred for Olympus. The memory of Calliope's trust grows in the darkness, fed by every prayer I ignore, every injustice I am compelled to perpetuate. Hope, not for redemption, but for revenge. I am Kratos, god of war. I am trapped, yes, but I am not defeated. The rage that burns in my chest is no longer directionless fury. It has found its true target. Athena believes she has won. Zeus thinks he is safe. All of Olympus assumes their newest god will serve them faithfully. They have no idea what they have truly created. A god with the power to wage war and the burning desire for revenge against every divine hand that shaped his suffering. The throne does not own me. I will use it to destroy them all. Let the gods enjoy their victory. Soon enough, they will learn that the Ghost of Sparta has become something far more dangerous than they ever imagined. A god who remembers every betrayal and has eternity to plan his vengeance. They wanted a weapon. They got one, and it will be pointed at their throats.
Ashes of my family mark my skin. Blades of chaos burn into my flesh. Years planned the temple from within, made me kill the ones I love the best. 10 years dancing to his puppet strings, 10 years drowning in what I became. But the fire of their memory sings, and he orchestrated all my shame. I am the ghost of Sparta rising from the blood he made me spill. Every nightmare he's designing feeds the rage I can't kill. Through Pandora's stolen power, past Kronos and his pain, I'll break these godly chains, but the cycle remains. Climbing flesh of fathers who destroy what they swore they died to protect. Am I just another god's cruel toy, or can this broken soul redirect? Lysandre's face in every blade I swing, Calliope's trust in every choice I make. Their love's the only sacred thing in this war for my soul's sake. I am the ghost of Sparta rising from the blood he made tears and his pain. I'll break these godly chains, but the cycle remains. Athena's throne calls to the broken, but every crown demands its price. The monster that I've awoken may never roll the dice for peace or love or mercy, just another god of war, trading one master for another. What am I fighting for? I am the ghost of Sparta, falling into the trap they've made. Every victory's just another calling to the role for which I'm paid. From the man who loved completely to the god who rules alone, I am Kratos, ghost of Sparta, forever carved in stone. The ashes never wash away. The ghost lives on in godly chains.